Hello and welcome to day 2 of the GGBet Chicago Invitational. We've got Group B coming up today. We've seen Group A sort of reach the later stages. We're into the best of 3s over there. But Group B, we start that today. And we've got some very interesting games coming right up.
Yeah, well, we get to see some Norwegian action, which makes my heart happy, at least for the time being.
You know, before we
see the end result. But that should be exciting, obviously. I think a lot of people have wondered where some of these players in the team has ended up. You know, the guys like Croman, etc. People probably expected him to join, I guess, a more prominent team after his stand-in time with FaZe and so on. Yeah, HellRaisers, another go at it in a new Invitational. That should be really fun. And as we see the groups for yesterday, actually, Optic, Gamer Legion, Heroic, and Avantgarde, they are the teams that made up our Group A. And as you can see, Heroic making it through in what was a pretty exciting affair altogether. We had 2 very close opening games from the side of the Danish teams, eventually making it into, well, I guess their group finals in that sense, if you want to call it that. Eventually Heroic besting them. And today, HellRaisers, Nordavind, Windigo, and Force. Force was, well, I think it's fair to say that they were by far the surprise of the Cologne Invitational.
Yeah.
And Windigo just coming off a win in Portugal. A lot of good results, really, from a lot of the teams here. HellRaisers had a pretty good showing at Pro League as well.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the only team they realistically beat, though, was Luminosity, 16-7 in a best-of-1.
Yeah,
but they took a map off Liquid and played them very close, right?
Yeah, I mean, they lost 2-1. One Inferno lost, what was it, 16-14 on Overpass,
yeah.
right? So they were just within reach of knocking Liquid out, and they ended up winning the entire tournament. It was a much better showing from HellRaisers just in general from what we saw them having in the Cologne Invitational last week. So they're moving in the right direction as we get into the veto. Nuke, Vertigo removed on the side of HellRaisers. Train, Mirage, and Inferno is being opted out of Nordavind's side. So that leaves us, well, with Overpass left and potentially Dust 2.
I think if we go to Overpass, though, that's pretty scary because obviously HellRaisers looking super solid on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're HellRaisers, this is a no-brainer, really, if you want to choose between Overpass and Dust 2. You have Dust 2, which you've yet to record a win on with this lineup.
Yeah.
And then you have Overpass, where you're nearly beating Liquid.
Yeah.
And you're pretty much winning against, well, everyone else. They've beaten Big, they've beaten Fnatic, they've beaten TAS's team, Aristocracy. They've taken down some pretty good names on Overpass. So I'm thinking at this, well, I'm looking at this veto, I'm thinking, I don't really know what Nordavind was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Because you look at Liquid, we talk about Overpass being their sort of home map. And, you know, I was looking at that and I was seriously thinking, are HellRaisers about to knock Liquid out of the ESL Pro League finals? Like,
That's pretty
they're
nuts.
looking really, really solid on that.
I mean, we were so surprised by it as well because we were looking at, you know, the stats for the various maps and what kind of results the lineup had on Overpass. They refused to play it throughout their Cologne Invitational.
Yeah.
And then we, you know, after the fact, learned that, well, they were, you know, really focused on Pro League. They wanted to have Overpass as a bit of a ace up their sleeve, and you could definitely tell why. They were super prominent at it. They let it go through instead of being their more or less permaban like it was in the Invitational in Pro League. So they've constantly floated it, teams picked into it, and they crushed pretty much everyone they ran into outside of Liquid, and that was about as close as you can get.
Exactly, and I think a big part of that was definitely Oscar. He was definitely looking like a hot prospect. You know, he was just single-handedly beating Liquid on his own for quite some time. He was just pushing everything, getting the kills, and I think if we have that sort of level from Oscar today, it's going to be very hard for Nordavind.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be a really tough task for Nordavind, especially HellZerk. He's the opper on the side of Nordavind, and going up against Oscar is not necessarily an easy task. And, well, losing a knife round is not going to do them any favors in that sense either. That was a pretty quick one.
Yeah. You were actually saying that HellZerk has a brother.
Yeah, an older brother.
Yeah. What was his name again?
HellZerk.
Oh, yeah.
So,
okay.
yeah, creativity is flowing in the family. But, yeah, no, I mean, he's got pretty good, I guess, Counter-Strike genes in that sense. HellZerk used to be a national player for Norway in 1.6 when Nations Cup and that kind of stuff was still around. A very storied player. Super nice guy as well. So I'm assuming, you know, little brother's going to have a good, you know, head on his shoulders in that sense, and we'll have the option to get some solid advice from him if need be. But still early days in HellZerk's career, so we'll see how he does with it. But obviously he has some pretty experienced guys next to him as well. Tensky, Croman, Rubino, they've all been around the block for quite a few years now. We'll see what they can do. Long is going to be the name of the game with the entirety of the team, and they're going to get a lot of real estate for free here from HellRaisers' side as well.
Well, Nuke, one of the younger players within HellRaisers, he has to hold down the A bottom side as multiple players running in towards him. Goes for the reload, but gets dinked up. That's him gone. Is Croman with the early pick in Nordavind. They've got the advantage into this one. HellZerk will be looking back towards middle. He will take the headshot onto Oscar. And HellRaisers not looking great here at the start of things. Nordavind just completely bombard the A-bomb site.
Yeah, a bit of a lucky draw from Nordavind there in the sense that opting with everyone through long, nobody really putting up any sort of defense. Nukia getting immediately tagged up as well just makes his attempts at a defense more or less impossible. We'll see how the retake goes. Nicely done by Rubino, and yeah, Nordavind having this locked down in the afterplant pretty easily. So a flawless round. It's about as good as a start as you can hope for if you're the Norwegians. I guess plus Dane, but solid start. And they need to get off to a hot start, I think, if they're going to have a hope at this. This is, I think it's fair to say, their biggest invitational, biggest tournament in that sense, for their, I guess, for the lifetime that they've been together. They did make it to the close qualifiers for the majors as well, but then had a bit of a rough, I guess, participation time in that. They went out to Tricked early on. As you see, the odds favoring HellRaisers. Not too surprising there.
No, I definitely think everyone coming into this, even if you're Norwegian, you have to
be a little bit of a realist, right? You can be as patriotic as you want, but reality will set in eventually, and when that happens, you have to realize that Nordavind are pretty heavy underdogs in this kind of a matchup. But it's a starting point. Again, just being a part of this kind of invitational is more than what most Norwegian teams can aim for at the current time.
Yeah, I was actually really excited when I seen Nordavind be announced because obviously we've had all the other Nordic regions have started to build up teams.
Some mild success, you could say, right?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like the Danes and Swedish knows what they're doing,
and the Finns as well.
Yeah, I mean even them are throwing themselves in there.
So now Norway, it's time for you to step up.
It's our time to make a major finals, right? All the other Nordic countries have done it.
Yeah, exactly. So Norway is falling behind.
We'll see if they can play a bit of catch-up here. Important to make the most out of these anti-eco rounds. So we saw yesterday the Danish teams, both Optic and Heroic, making it to that decider match of the group finals. They were having a lot of issues dealing with this. So far, so good, though. Ooh. As we see, quick trades going back and forth, but heavily favoring Nordavind.
Yeah, this should be over. Croman, he's got the UMP just holding off short. Good decision not to walk around the corner. He's going to stay back. Interesting that Nordavind have decided to go with 2 Kriegers immediately into the first gun round. So, well, not even the first gun round. It was just the first time they can afford rifles. They go straight away for the 2 Kriegs. So, hopefully we'll get to see more of that come in. Yeah,
you mentioned this yesterday. Again, Nordavind being one of the first teams to really commit to making Vertigo a part of their map pool. And again, same kind of goes for being early adapters in general, whether it's maps, weapons, all that kind of stuff. Being committed to trying out this... or becoming better with the Krieg.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've seen what Liquid can do with it. It's pretty terrifying whenever you see Liege, Twist, Navs, players like this roaming around with it. And it's also going to be curious to see, I mean, if they're heavily adopting the Krieg on the T side, or are they still going to stick with the AUG after the nerf on the CT side? We've seen a lot more teams just going straight back to the M4 now, post-patch. We saw it yesterday. Just the occasional AUG here and there, to kind of more positional depending, more so than not. Which I think is a cool thing. I mean, that's what the initial AUG was for as well. It would be a niche weapon that kind of worked out for you. If you go way back, roll back the years to 2013 and the likes of it, you had Mouse Sports with Tizian in the lineup when they were more or less a full German team. He would play outside on Nuke with an AUG, to cover off Silo, etc., having pretty solid success with that. Because he wasn't an opper. The one opper they had in Chris J would play, other positions. So they worked around it in that way. And I always thought that was a pretty good spot for the AUG to be in, niche. Niche place in the game, still definitely viable. But it kind of just went by the wayside. Not a whole lot of players obviously picked that up until very recently.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like it was just a better version of the M4 for a while there, because obviously not a lot of the players were using the scope at all. They were just kind of using it as a hipfire weapon, and obviously...
At that point, you probably feel like it's a little bit too strong, because it does have a scope for a reason, right? So you're meant to... I think
you got the best of both worlds, essentially, with it.
Yeah, very much so. Quick rate of fire, accuracy, everything you could want it, and the extended range, more or less, if you would ever need so. But it seems like most of the pro players seem to be working themselves perfectly fine without it. But we'll see how it pans out now. Maybe it's going to be more scope action. Maybe it's going to be more of a situational thing.
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing if we start to see sort of like specialist players pick it up.
Yeah.
So you would have like an AWPer, you would have an Augur for the team. I think Elige has definitely become a specialist with the SG. So maybe we'll see specialists just pick up the AUG and be sort of your mid-range fighter.
Yeah, I think it would be a cool place to have it. I don't think it's good when if we got stuck in a spot where the AUG just literally rendered two of the I guess most iconic weapons in the game useless. If it can find a spot where, it's going to be better, or it definitely has some upsides to it for certain scenarios and certain positions, that's perfectly fine. Then you get the diversity that you'd like to see, but you also, have a pretty set way of playing it where you have multiple options.
Yeah, I feel like even with the upgrades or the buff to the M4A1S, it's still just not played.
Yeah, I mean, rate of fire thing is a pretty hefty thing. Considering, if you compare CSGO where it's at right now to 1.6, etc., like how much tagging actually slows you down compared to the old versions. Just in general, CSGO is a much more fast-paced game. And not having the rate of fire needed to potentially deal with multiple enemies is going to be a massive detriment. So as nice as it is, obviously, that you can talk about how sure, you can't see spam, I guess, going through smokes and whatnot. You don't have the bullet tracers. Sure, that's nice and dandy, but that's just a very small part of the game that you're going to have to deal with. Eventually someone is going to come through, towards the site, and you're going to have to deal with it at that point.
Yeah.
And I think the rate of fire is just too much of an issue for it to be necessarily viable. But you do see some players who have just stuck with it through.
Yeah, I think Shox is one of the players, right?
But Ariel from ENCE, he never even went to the AUG, pretty much, which is kind of, I guess, admirable in one sense, but. No, I still think in my dream world, right, you just combine the two weapons. Obviously the argument for that is going to be like, but what about the skins? I feel like that's a pretty easy thing you just kind of add on. You just kind of extend the skin you have for the M4 onto a silencer, right, and then you're good to go, and you've combined the two. And then more options for both weapons, right? Or I guess the combined weapon, which is it's nice. That's my ideal scenario, right? So you can still pick and choose, but. I'm a bit of an old head in that sense.
Yeah, I think that was always sort of a problem a lot of people seeing is the whole skins. If we make a new Counter-Strike game, where do people's skins go? Because people have invested so much money into them. Will they transfer over to the next version, or will they just kind of be lost? And I think that's something a lot of people are actually concerned about, which is
it's always
different.
It's always the thing about you had it when the ZZ came into the game as well. It was so massively broken as a weapon. It was by far the best weapon, for the cost of it. Available, but you can remove it, even though I think to many people it just kind of ruined a lot of the fun with the game because it was just way too powerful. But you can't remove it because it's in the game. I mean, skins, it's going to create money for Valve, so it makes sense for them to keep it in the game, right? So you need to find other ways of going about it. But if there were to be a new Counter-Strike, I think people just have to give up on the whatever skins they have. Yeah, there's got to be new ones though.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
It's not the end of the world.
Probably.
Yeah. Becomes commodity items and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I think we're just having a couple of server difficulties, so we're just going to be waiting for that to sort of conclude, and we'll get right back into it very shortly. But we're just kind of talking about skins at this point, and we'll think of something else before we delve into the madness.
We'll have plenty of time to get into a lot of topics, really. But I guess, if you want to touch on the game real quickly, solid start from Nordavind, handling the first anti-eco pretty well. And again, it needs to happen. If you're an underdog going into it, yes, you have the benefit of being a best of one. That's good for you at least. But again, with the economic changes and everything, pistol rounds have less of an impact over the course of an entire game than it used to. So you're going to have a tougher task. So you need that hot start really to set you off on the right path. I think it's especially if you're on the T side, because then you can actually do significant damage to a CT side economy. Like limit them to a single buy, every other round. Depending on how much damage you do and if you're able to get a win streak going, right? And if you don't do that, all of a sudden you're going to have Oscar running around with an AWP, and that's just a bad time all around.
That definitely is. I think Oscar is definitely going to be a guy that brings a lot of pain to Nordavind, and I think the start that they got was really solid, but with this sort of pause that we've got now, this might just sort of disrupt the momentum that they've built up. You're in that mindset, okay, we won the pistol, we won the follow-up, we're started this well, and then suddenly, we're back to sitting waiting for the game to start again.
Yeah, I guess. Well, here's one thing of dealing with I guess because you don't have many premier tournaments in Norway, right? You have the occasional BYOCs here and there, and usually they're not run efficiently, to put it mildly. So you'll have your 4 to 6 hour delay here and there. So for these guys, they're at least used to it.
Yeah, that's true. They've been prepared. They've been
this is what they've been waiting for all their lives.
This is exactly
it's not like HellRaisers that actually go to tournaments that are going by smoothly.
Yeah.
You have an admin team just waiting for all that kind of stuff. So I don't think it's going to affect them too much. Obviously, they're probably feeling pretty eager about continuing on because they got off to a good start, but I don't think it's going to necessarily change the course of the game by any means.
Yeah, so taking a look at the Norway scene, right? Because we don't really hear a whole lot about it. And sort of, in the UK, we have iSeries, we have Epic Land and things like that. What would be the most sort of famous Norwegian BOI scene?
I guess the equivalent. Well, the most famous BYOC is not really one that's, I guess, aimed at esports in that sense, but you have The Gathering, which is the second biggest LAN in the world after DreamHack. So, I mean, in size, we got that going, but we don't really have necessarily the competition around it. You have more or less just on the whim hosted CSGO tournament thing going on for you that none of the real top teams really attend because it's more of a social LAN, so you have a lot of music, a lot of stuff going on while the games are being played, which is not ideal. And outside of that, you probably have the Telia League, which is the national league there, ends up in a playoffs and so on. And then, a LAN called Bylam, which is used to be the staple of CSS LANs, really, towards the end of it.
I think there's one called Infected LAN as well or something.
Yeah. It's a smaller one. But yeah, we definitely have a fair few BYOCs here and there, but obviously nothing to the scale of what we're seeing elsewhere in the world.
Well, it's a good kill from Kroman to start things off as we're right back into it. The MAC-10 getting it done as well, but LOL actually picking up 2 kills on the USP. Angel coming in with 1 on the P250, and HellRaisers brought this into a 2v2. Luckily, Kroman is there to sweep it up, and it will be 3 for him, and 3 for Nordavind as well.
Yeah. So they survived the scare there. Even with the saved Eagles on the side of HellRaisers from the last round, they managed to bring it through. That's important for them to get on the board. And it's also nice to see Kroman getting started early. He hasn't really had the same kind of impact. I mean, obviously, his time in FaZe, that's a very different team, very different structure altogether. But I think people were expecting him to be the clear-cut star of the Nordavind team. He hasn't necessarily been playing up to his potential so far. Again, it's a learning process, but if he can get going early on, he does have pretty crazy high potential. So it's going to be fun to see what he can bring to the table versus a pretty formidable opponent in HellRaisers.
Yeah, I almost feel like it would be very detrimental to your mental health when you're a Kroman. You're kind of like, oh yeah, I've just had this massive stint in FaZe. Everyone's talking about how I should be signed for a big team, and then you hear nothing for months.
No, absolutely. He waited out the major cycle in hopes of getting some offers, and he did have some, but none that necessarily enticed him too much.
Yeah.
So decided to wait it out, and I guess in the end, all things are good. He's now playing for, I guess, the first proper professional team that we've had in CSGO in quite some time, with more or less a Norwegian lineup. So if you're ever going to bring Norwegian Counter-Strike to the forefront, this is how you do it. Can't necessarily wait around for Jacob and Rain to return home.
Exactly, yeah.
You're going to have to do it on your own.
That could be a very long time.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot of reason for them to go back to their roots just yet. We'll see, though, what these 4 plus Tensky can do.
Well, Oscar has got himself the AWP already, so this is definitely going to be a tough one for Nordavind. Let's see what they can get done, though. The smoke's coming towards the A-bomb site. Angel just jump spotting, trying to get some information, but Haru is going to be making his way close towards that A site. Low holding off short. Good headshot onto Kroman. He's trying to go through the Molotov, and this is going to hold towards Monster Tunnel. It's a kill coming in. The lineup comes through, and the bomb is dropped. Nordavind being picked apart at the moment, but a big flank from Harry coming in from heaven. He will get the flank going onto Angel. Kill comes in, but it's into the 1v5 clutch, and this just turns around, drops him with the AWP, and HellRaisers find their first. Yeah.
A lot of things were looking right for Nordavind in that scenario. They had, well, they were setting up for the fake towards A, which didn't necessarily draw any rotations because there was already 3 players on the side of HellRaisers there. I think this is really the big issue. Somehow, it only gets tagged down to 8 HP. HellRaisers has to have missed a shot in that scenario, as you see the updated odds from .ggbet.
It's actually closer than I expected.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised by this. 2.18 for Nordavind to win the match, only 1.63 for HellRaisers. I guess that might be reflected off the fact that they're in the lead right now.
Perhaps. But they've actually made the interesting economic decision here to not actually fully invest. I like it. They're going to leave some money in the bank. They'll buy a couple of Deagles, a little bit of Kevlar, and 3 players, and nades.
I think they realize that they need to have more or less, full weaponry, full utility if they're going to have a good shot at this. So it makes sense for them to be conservative. Oftentimes you see way too many underdog teams get a little bit carried away thinking like, oh, but if we break them.
Yeah.
And they end up not doing that, and the entire half just crumbles in front of their eyes. Exactly. And you kind of need guns to deal with the likes of Oscar. You need utility as well. I think that's going to be a big part to see how they are actually able to get map control without necessarily dying or using literally everything they have in their utility belt.
Well, Rubino's actually rocking a very Semler-esque aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, he's fully committed to the bohemian lifestyle and the beard.
I like it.
It's a look for sure.
He used to play with the shoes off, right? Or still probably does.
Yeah, probably still does. Again, a lot of players have like weird quirks, I guess, in terms of how they need to sit or posture themselves to be, I guess, playing in a comfortable environment. For some, it's playing without shoes. For some, they have to play in sweatpants. They can't play in jeans, for example.
I've seen Zeus, would rock up in pajama bottoms.
Exactly, right? And in a weird way, it seems probably weird to a lot of outsiders who are, I guess, used to traditional sports. Like, they don't necessarily get that, which is like, well, you're playing a video game. But in many ways, it's about having the same kind of rituals and setups to make yourself,
you're trying
be
to
in a position to be in a position to perform as best as possible.
Trying to replicate what you play like at home.
Yeah.
Trying to feel comfortable. But Oscar just had a pretty easy showing there with 3 kills coming in on the op. But finally, it will be Nordavind onto the rifles again, fully committing to the Krieg, and then we'll get 3 of them on Tensky, Halzerk, and Rubino. We'll see if Harry can get something done with the AK, and in fact he will. Good play, straight up short, does get the kill on the Angel, but it sits there with the reply.
We're seeing more and more teams do this. This is something Liquid did heavily on Overpass as well. It's just having that one player burst up towards short to see if he can find an early pick.
Twist does that, right?
Yeah, Twist does that a lot. And has a lot of success with it as well. Harry does that as well, but here he is, the big problem, the big showstopper, Oscar finding 2 quick kills. Nuki is going to follow up on that. Leaves HellRaisers alone. Doesn't have an op this time. Does have a scope, though. See if he's going to be able to do something with this.
Well, this is the time to do it. He's got 55 seconds. Starting to play close up towards middle. Spots the angle, and there's the kill on the Nukia. The bomb back into his possession. And he goes for the AWP, so... Oh, back for the AK. So it's just a little bit of a shop, a browsing of the store. He will eventually select the AK, but he's about to walk right into Law. Who's waiting for him? Here's the footsteps, and there's the kill. So easy for HellRaisers, 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And not much of a challenge, really.
No. Proactive CT side play from HellRaisers as well. Oscar finding the early rotation through Underpass after her has found 1 on short. And then again, Lowell following that up with the aggressive push through Monster. Ending up in T-spawn and makes quick work of HellRaisers there at the very end. So no hopes of a 1v3 clutch. Nordavind back to pistols. Again, as long as they don't start doing crazy force buys and everything, I'm going to be happy for their sake. They need to realize where they stand the best chance of winning rounds. For now, though, looking like HellRaisers will finally see a lead.
Yeah, well, Law and Oscar get things started well here. Nuki doing the rest inside the toilet. Skill comes in. Oscar got a little bit of pressure there, and Harry actually gets 2. So M4 into his hands, back into a doable position, but so wins the aim jaw. Harry hits the deck, but AWP is still available to HellRaisers. If he can make this happen, I'll turn things around for Nordavind at the start of things here. It's going to be so difficult because HellRaisers is currently surrounding him. You've got Angel off towards long. Playing inside of middle as well, so he's going to get rid of the op, throw that on over the top. And that'll force an op rebuy on one of these, HellRaisers players. That keeps the economy actually quite modest, so good decision.
It's not often you see an opera actually, throw one of those away when he has an opportunity to do something. But that's thinking long term. That's nice to see from HellRaisers, not necessarily getting too greedy or too ahead of himself. I mean, they will have enough money on their side as well to potentially buy up with an op. We'll see what they go for. And there you have it, the reinvestment. Oscar gets his op. But right now, though, HellRaisers are still doing a pretty good job of keeping a fair amount of players alive. As you can see, after buying, is sitting at 7.1. He still has that Krieg from the 3rd round. Angel, 5.1. Lowell, 4.5. So it's not complete doom and gloom for HellRaisers, even if they were to lose this round. That's a nice pick from HellRaisers. Doesn't need the op to go up toe-to-toe with Oscar for this one. You live with taking that nade damage initially as well. Nuki in a very exposed position here. He needs to get a little bit further forward if he wants to avoid getting sandwiched. And this could be a prime position if Nordavind are a little bit lackluster about clearing everything out. HellRaisers definitely getting used to that Krieg. This Angel goes down as well, and that's going to be an A bomb site. I don't really know the likelihood of HellRaisers trying for this kind of a retake. Bomb's going to get planted without too much of an issue. Ooh, and Issa has already been caught on the rotation by Tenski. Well played from Nordavind so far, finding picks.
Yeah, that's really solid. Being able to sort of just win the fights against HellRaisers with no trade, that's definitely a good sign moving forward for Nordavind. They just need to make sure they limit the casualties here. LoL just trying to slither away, trying to get that AK into the next one. And to be fair to Nordavind, they've actually kept the economy relatively modest across quite a few players here in HellRaisers.
Yeah, Nuki and Oscar not having the greatest of times money-wise, but there is a pretty hefty sum on Issa and Angel, yeah. So they should be able to drop weapons. If Lowell is able to hold on to this, there's 100% going to be a rebuy on the side of HellRaisers. If he does go down, which seems very unlikely now considering the positioning of the Nordavind players, they might have had to think it over. But considering what we've seen out of HellRaisers, they do have an affinity to go for low econ buys.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can get an op on Oscar, they seem to be happy having 4 USPers around him and just seeing how that works.
It's certainly something that we've seen work, which is kind of ridiculous, but that's a good opening from HellRaisers.
Yeah.
Off the top of the fire and flames and just keeps pushing forward. Can't really deal with him. So good start there, but they need to do it again. They need to try and replicate that success coming into this one. Otherwise, HellRaisers will be back into the lead.
Yeah. Let's see what comes out of it. This is a bit of a swing route. As you mentioned, the HellRaisers economy was good enough to get one more buy-in, but not going to be able to stand the test of another loss. Different approach from Nordavind this time, not going through Fountain with HellRaisers, sending more players through Underpass. As the initial point of contact. Oscar still posted up fairly aggressively. It does not have actually any backup. Flash comes out. A little bit of a late response though from Nordavind. So even though they get the initial flash to get him out of position, he's still going to find the first kill. Those are the kind of situations you really need to take advantage of.
Oh, there's a gap in the smoke to play with as well.
Oh.
He's going to push forward. This just shows the confidence of Oscar though. They might not just expect him to be so close still.
Already the rotation is coming over from HellRaisers too. 3 players towards that A-bomb site.
Well, the smoke is faded. Oscar still not spotting anybody, but he'll hear the players coming up to his left. He's just hoping that someone walks into his crosshair at this point to try and get another frag to try and extend upon him. He's got to go towards them. No scope comes in. A follow-up from Oscar. And again, he's done so much damage in the toilets. Harry has to try and make it happen. Nearly the second kill there through the smoke, but unfortunately, he cannot pick up Angel. Looks back towards Long, a valiant effort, but that is, again, just Oscar dominating in the toilets.
Yeah, it really is, and that allows HellRaisers to survive with 4. So instead of being at the brink of an eco, they're going to breathe a sigh of relief, and instead it's going to be Nordavind that's put on the pressure. Updated odds from GT.bet.
Yeah.
1.23 in favor of HellRaisers this time. So it's swung back to, I guess, what we would have expected.
Yeah, it's starting to edge away from Nordavind at this point.
It is. But I think initially the setup from Nordavind is well thought out. They have the pop flash and everything to deal with Oscar. They're just slow to react off of it. And, ooh, Oscar with a uncharacteristic miss, and then they just kind of
forget about him.
Yeah. They still get the trade, though. So you're happy about that. You can potentially pick up a second op, swap out that UMP, just going to go for the AK instead. And these 4v4 situations usually going to favor the T side. They have the utility to potentially set up for an executor as well. 2 Molotovs, 2 smokes, and 2 flashes.
Ooh, HellRaisers.
Oh, he's thinking about it.
He just wants to just take the shot, go for it. The thing is, it gives one of the AWPers there, so he'll decide to not waste the shot and fall back away. Join the rest of his troops as they start to make their way back over towards the B side of things. And currently there's only 1 player there on the CT side, but again, playing relatively passively, it's LoL. And this position, we've seen so many players be able to shut down B on their own from this sort of angle, so
yeah,
definitely not easy to deal with.
Absolutely. And it's not like Lowell needs to find 3 kills or something crazy like that for this to work out. If you can find 1, stay alive for a little bit, or find 2 right off the bat, then you're golden. Now he's even gotten some backup here from Issa.
Yeah, this is a perfect rotation timing. They've got a player in barrels. It's just off towards short, and with spray coming in, and that might just cost them. Luckily, Nukia is quick to come through the connector, and he does drop Tensky. Kroman has to do it all. It has to be the ace clutch. Bomb getting planted inside of the smoke. Oh, their clutch really is on. Can Kroman pull this off for Nordavind? There's another kill. Looking back, he knows exactly where the last player is. He switches out to the Krieg and looks back over it, just holding off towards short. Nukia trying to recover it. Trying to play this one. Smoke goes off towards short. And Kroman, he's playing this one well. He's fallen back towards water. Flashbang's ready. Nukia's tapped the bomb. That might just bait Kroman to play in towards him. As Nukia still holding off. Not yet tapping again. And Kroman's not falling for it. He's going to sit here passively waiting. The time is starting to get very low at this point. Kroman's looking likely he might just pull this off. As Nukia, he's got no chance at the defuse. There we go. Kroman makes it happen. Not with elimination, but just by playing the time.
Did Nukia never re-tap the bomb?
No.
That is so weird. He sat around that bomb for about 20 seconds, tapped it once when Kroman's far away. Yeah, and after that flash, never even touched it again. So there's no reason for Kroman to even try to go for that. He plays that perfectly with what is given to him.
Yeah.
And nets Nordavind around. That's a very unlikely one at that.
Yeah, the fact that, Issa misses that initial sort of game duel, that really gives him that chance, and Kroman, he'll capitalize off of it.
M4S, man.
Yeah, there we go. Use the AUG or the M4A4.
Well, right now he's back on a standard M4. Again, it's potential eco for HellRaisers if they were to lose this one. Hara doing a lot of damage with the MAC-10. Equal trades, but they're going to take that. That's a bomb site gained on the side of Nordavind. How's this retake going to work out? They do have 2 flashes and a smoke on Oscar, but that's all the utility they have. Diffuse kit on Nikki. It's flashed out into water, and the boost up to heaven here.
Ooh.
Is he actually going to follow through on this?
That would be very spicy if he can get in behind, but Nukia, he's going to charge right through short. Kill comes in on a Kroman. Tensky able to drop Nukia and reply. Still 2v2. As Tensky's just holding for this. The flank coming in from Harry. He's made it happen onto Angel. The second kill nearly there, but it's Oscar just desperately trying to fall away, trying to bring this off into the next one. Ooh. He's under so much pressure. The grenade comes in. And it's actually, I think that might have just saved his life, not being able to jump over the fence.
That was very fortunate for Oscar there. Does manage to stay alive, but this is going to be one of the scenarios where he's going to have to do a whole lot of work for HellRaisers if they want to avoid another round loss. Around 2K on the 4 other players, and Hara here with the MAC-10 going to town.
Yeah, so much money as well. He just picks up the M4, finishes off the job. That's definitely the MVP of that one.
Yeah, solid execute on the side of Nordavind there.
Well, you kind of talked about this a few moments ago. The fact that HellRaisers still have the potential to win these kind of runs when Oscar has an AWP and the rest have P250s and USBs.
Oh, that's cheeky. Nice little boost setup for the run boost, so Oscar can get past Monster without getting spotted. And you can tell that Nordavind are at least aware of the economic state of HellRaisers. They know that Oscar saved an AWP. That is absolutely fair, but with how they've set up, how passively they've gone, it's a pretty significant tell that they are expecting an eco. What they might not be expecting is Oscar here over towards the B-bomb side, and already there's a bit of a trap being set here. Outside of Monster, 2 players have made their way far forward. Tensky, though, might actually just be the saving grace here, depending on how long they wait. He's going to take a dip into Monster, and he's going to spot a fair few things. Yeah. Those CTs are not meant to be there.
Yeah, well, Tensky and Rubino, they do get it done. Oscar, he will pick up 1 kill.
And you can tell what kind of reaction that creates with Nordavind as well. It's like immediately as he goes down, they're like, nope, not going in through Monster. We don't want to deal with that. They still have a ton of utility as well, so it's on Nordavind to force the hand of HellRaisers to make it difficult, but time is starting to run low, which is a little bit of a worry.
Yeah, well, Oscar is still here on the B-bomb side, and that's a big problem. Another kill coming in for Oscar. Nukia cutting off the rotations through connector as well, but the kill comes in from HellRaisers. It's going to be the push from Oscar. Takes his time, takes the kill. Another one coming through from Oscar. And this is just absolutely crazy. How does this even happen? Oscar with 4 kills. It leaves Kroman on 8 HP, tucking up tail and running back over towards the A-bomb site.
Bomb will go down. He's going to hear the first step at least. It's coming in. Oscar's just going to finish it with the ace. We telegraphed it. We did.
I don't know how it happens. It's just not fair.
I think it's obviously extremely well played by Oscar, but also, not great decision-making from the side of Nordavind.
No.
I think, again, you might seem like a bit of a coward if you immediately rotate off once Tensky is dead, but I think that's completely fair to make. As long as you're able to walk as a group, you still have a ton of utility that they didn't get to use at all. You can see how much utility they die with here. For each kill that Oscar picks up, how much utility is unspent on their end.
This is just so patient from Oscar as well.
Yeah, and the fact that he gets the follow-up on HellRaisers there after killing Rubino is wild.
That was nuts.
Oscar, man. Saving the bacon of HellRaisers for the time being. Let's see if there's any sort of response from Nordavind. They're back to an eco. They've gone for a bit of a half-buy again. So they're staying away from these full forces, which I think is doing them a lot of favors, honestly. We'll see, though, if they can actually get anything done with it. So far, HellRaisers have had a pretty easy time of dealing with these kind of buys from Nordavind, regardless of whatever utility you might have. That's bungled nade as well. So the double nade towards the boost doesn't really work out.
Yeah, like you said, it's good to see Nordavind not fully committing to the force buys. I definitely feel like, though, if they did it in this one, it wouldn't really be unwarranted because HellRaisers' money still isn't that well built up, but still kind of unrealistic you're able to win it.
Yeah, Molotov goes down for short the second they see the smokes flying over. And in we go to the meat grinder.
Well, Angel getting 2 kills already. There's a third collected. It's a full assist, and there we go. Like you said, very easily handled for HellRaisers. They really have had no problems in dealing with these kind of buys from Nordavind.
Yeah. And that's what you need to see as well. Would have been definitely a bit of an issue if HellRaisers were to start losing out on these kind of rounds. That's supposed to be the game. And I mean, especially considering how weak their economy has been, as you said. Multiple times we've seen the HellRaisers side being at the brink of having to eco. And then just barely scraping out a round. And then following it up with very solid anti-ecos. And that's really what's gotten them to the point where we find ourselves right now. 7-6 in favor of HellRaisers. Albeit, though, like with what we've seen out of HellRaisers on Overpass throughout Pro League, I'm surprised that we were seeing Nordavind kind of hang in there as well as they are.
Yeah, I definitely am impressed. Like the fact that they've even got 6 rounds already on the T side is pretty impressive.
Yeah, normally not a very strong T-sided team either on Overpass. They do most of their work on the CT side. The same can be said for HellRaisers too. So if you look at it from that point of view, very promising results from Nordavind so far. But again, we've seen underdog stories where they can have a good half and then just get completely trounced once you swap sides.
Yeah, they just like to build up that sort of false hope, and then we get to the second half and it's just like, oh, well, we're idiots.
We'll see, though. It's going to be quick push towards B again. It's going to be up towards short.
Ooh, so
that's a lot of utility damage. This Angel going to find 2 openings and no returns either. Lowell still in a safe spot, at least for the time being, but he gets found by Tensky. Now, finally, some responses happening here from the Nordavind side.
Tensky's doing it all.
Yeah, and he's down to 1 HP, too. Do they expect the quick rotation here from Nuki? They have to know he's there, considering he's gotten a frag. Oh, Tensky not able to adjust in time, and Nuki's going to find both frags before Nordavind has a chance of getting a bomb plant, vacating the bomb site, doing pretty much of anything. So
well, that didn't really look like Nordavind had much of a chance, and then Tensky just gives them a chance.
Yeah. It was accurate. Just giving up those 2 initial frags on short there, not finding a single trade, not even doing a whole lot of damage. Usually spells disaster for a T side, but yeah, as you said, Tensky brings them within at least a shot of winning the round until Nuki shuts it down. So 8-6. HellRaisers looking to get a 9th on the board here. Aggressive peek from Oscar. Still going to find the frag onto Rubino. That was an awkward position. And well, speaking of awkward, Nuki's down, and that's the A defense gone. Rotation coming in from Angel. He's going to be there in time. Posted up by Optimus. Flash, not going to bother him too much, but he's down to 50 HP. And again, these rotations coming through Underpass for HellRaisers, doing them a lot of good. Now they have 2 players solidly holding on the A-bomb side. Got a bit of a crossfire. They know that Angel's tucked away somewhere around here. It's a solid trade. Croman left alone. This is a optimistic idea.
Ooh. Well, he's still alive and he's got the kill, so perhaps there's a chance here for Croman as the bomb's getting planted. It's making his way back through mid. Croman He's just going to be sitting here. He has an idea of where he is as well. This could really work for Croman. Just sitting with the AWP. He's got to be very quick on the shot. He's actually backed off all the way towards the stairs. So, Issa, did he hear that? I don't think you can from that range. No. So he's going to have to clear all the corners still. So at this point, Croman's in a great position. Issa just having to play as quickly as possible. He's got a smoke. He's thrown onto the board as the bomb, but Croman's just waiting for the push to come in. Eventually he'll commit to it, and Issa, the fake works. Croman baited into it, and it will be 9 on the board for HellRaisers.
Yeah, I think Croman chose a little bit too much of a passive position there. Again, it's not a great angle for an op as well. Even if someone were to push you, will push onto you, you kind of have to bank on a quick scope, a no scope, that kind of thing with the angle he had, which makes it difficult to deal with for him. Standing on the stairs, you can have a bit of an eye on what's going on. Even rotating over towards Bank, you can see a crossover towards Optimus at least. But nonetheless, it's going to end with a HellRaiser round. So even with the solid opening trades from Nordavind, not enough to net them around. 9-6. Well, Nordavind won pistol in the first round. We'll see if they can do it again, or if it's going to be HellRaisers to swing it wide open.
We've got no kit on the CT side, so it's got to be immediately headshots.
All about the firepower.
Well, they made it happen in the pistol in the first half, like you were saying. All the kills going through, but at the start of this one, it will be HellRaisers with 2 early picks. One comes back in, but again, coming on top are HellRaisers. It's only HellZerg left into your 1v3. It's looking likely HellRaisers will find themselves their double-figured round. So, there we go. Clean and clinical.
There you have it. HellRaisers looking primed to potentially get up to 12 rounds. We'll see if there is any sort of crazy buy coming in from Nordavind, or if they want to go for that 3rd round buy. Remains to be seen. Actually, not even a 3rd round buy. It's going to be the Force. 2 MP9s, Scout on HellZerg, 5-7, and Deagle on Hara and Croman. And only 1 Molotov on the side of HellRaisers, so hard to clear out angles. HellZerg's going to be a little bit late to the party to see HellRaisers moving in towards long. He's going to hear the nades at the very least, but needs to find a way to deal with this. He's also the sole defender on that A bomb site, so he needs to do a lot of tag damage if he's not going to land headshots. Well, that's 1. Oscar down to 15 HP. Well, 0 HP actually at that. Solid start. Goes down to blocking off any more shenanigans from HellZerg. I'm expecting to see a rotation to come in from Nordavind as well off of that.
He's just trying to flex the muscle a little bit, show that he's still here on the bomb site. It's not going to be easy for them to come towards him, but it's up. He will spot him, and that'll be the kill. Back into a 4v4 with under a minute left. Tensky coming in with a big flank on the MP9. They've got to move quickly here, HellRaisers. Player in behind, and this has actually looked back, so it will be the kill from Tensky. Rubino's there to help him as well, and Rubino's just charged right through the smoke. There's the bomb. This is not looking great for HellRaisers, but Inge will do his best to try and pull it back alongside the Spaniard of Law, who does get himself the kill, leaving Tensky in a 1v2 clutch. He tries for the first and can't quite connect the second. So 11-6, and that was actually pretty competitive there from Nordavind.
Pretty damn close. A little bit surprised actually to see HellZerg go that aggressively or wide out in an angle so early on, especially because we saw the flank coming in from Tensky. He was so close up to toilets. So at that stage, they know it's going to be towards A, and I guess HellZerg's mindset is that he might be able to find someone playing behind the flower bed before the push comes in, but he puts himself in such a wide open and vulnerable position that I don't really think it's worth it. If you can just get tag damage onto someone there as they move up onto the site, you're better off doing that, having the rotation come in.
Well, LOL, he's going to be the front man, but the rest of the push from the CT side is coming through middle, what Oscar will get 2, but Angel and Oscar will drop to the pistols. They fall victim to the full eco. HellZerg eventually will fall.
Bit of a labored affair from Issa, but he does get the job done in the end.
It's always really uncomfortable when you when you're spraying or you're tapping, you just can't quite land the shots or can't sort of recover your aim. You just don't know what's happening.
Yeah, just like you can tell that you're like halfway there. You're just in the middle. It's like I know what I need to do to adjust, but it just won't do it. Sit. Yeah. Well, it's going to be a buy-in from Nordavind. They've at least done a good job of keeping the money on HellRaisers' side fairly low. Obviously, the first Force buy doing them a lot of good. But still, there's a lot of work to be done. Similar setup from what we saw. Oh, Croman, okay.
Oh, God. This is
wild.
awkward. Oh, God. both of them are alive, right?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
I guess if you could call anyone a winner, Croman came out ahead with more HP, so you got that going for you. HellRaisers going to find Oscar, who was initially tagged up by the nades. You could tell that Nordavind used the same kind of initial setup with the Molotov and the nades as Optic did on Overpass. Again, punishing anyone who wants to run through the Molotov with an immediate nade into Playground. Just nice way to get some tag damage early on. Get some bang for your buck with your utility. Now with the opening frag as well, Nordavind in a good position to get back on the board here on the CT side.
Well, Nordavind, this run is incredibly important for them. Otherwise, I could probably see a world in which HellRaisers do walk away with this. So make sure that they convert this. Croman flash in, does get the kill on Issa. Nuclear there for the trade almost instantly, though. Still man advantage alive for the Norwegians, and they're getting it done. Harry with another, and there's a great play from Harry.
Just playing ring around the roasty with Angel.
Just runs around the pillar, and HellRaisers is the man to collect the final kills. So 12-7. Nordavind looking like they want to compete here in the second half.
Yeah, staying alive with 3 players as well. That's going to make them have the opportunity to rebuy fully as well. And, well, we saw a lot of SGs on the side of Nordavind on their T side. Tensky is the only one to opt in for an AUG so far. So we can already see a bit of a shift. Tensky being the player over towards that A-bomb site.
Ooh, definitely. Speaking of shifts, look at the odds. This is definitely starting to shift away from Nordavind.
7.81 on Nordavind to win the match. HellRaisers about as low as you can get. We'll see if it changes up, though. If Nordavind can get a string of rounds again, obviously this is an eco round on the side of HellRaisers. It could be a little bit of a different story. As 1.06 for HellRaisers. Doesn't get much lower than that.
Oh, well.
There we see. Well, already it's making some changes. Realize that's an eco round coming up.
Yeah.
So
well, there's slight more of a chance there for Nordavind.
Yeah.
Results obviously brought to you by GG.bet. Will be the kill coming in from Tensky, lining them up, and the AUG is still just as good, it seems, for him. He gets two kills.
But
Oscar with a Glock.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got 2 kills.
Yeah, he's found HellRaisers, and that's given him an op. That's pretty much your worst nightmare. Oh, Issa. That's a bit of a blunder. Bomb will go down. Croman's still alive. How do you deal with this, though, if you're HellRaisers? There is kits galore. There is utility still. There's also a Lowell with an AUG creeping about.
This is not looking good at all. Oscar with another kill, looking for the frag, and it's actually LOL to take that one away. And if you're Nordavind, you can't end up losing those ones.
No, you really can't. Curious to see how HellRaisers gets so caught off by whatever is Oscar doing. Because, as you said, he had a Glock. He had pretty much nothing.
You know, the chaos created. Oscar just capitalizes, comes in from behind. They have no idea.
Yeah, but that's a pretty big mistake on the side of Nordavind, because the only way he can get up close to the bomb site is through long there. If I'm not mistaken, and there's no way. Like, I mean, Tensky is doing a pretty good job handling whatever's coming down at him in restrooms, so there's no reason for HellRaisers to start panicking and giving up vital ground, allowing himself to get picked off.
Door swing is wide open. It's Angel taking a kill onto Harry. Able to get one done as well, and this is very, very clean indeed from HellRaisers, leaving Tensky the only player alive for Nordavind. Oh God, Nuki runs out of ammo. That is so unfortunate. Tensky, he's going huge. He's got himself 3 kills. He might just get another one here, but if so, we'll say no. And Tensky definitely has been the shining light for Nordavind.
It really has towards these late rounds. But it's not netting them rounds, and that's a bit of an issue here, as you see the scoreboard. Lowell, Oscar. No surprise to see Oscar topping the scoreboard of the entire server.
Yeah.
21 kills to his name. Already got an ace to his name as well.
There isn't a big difference between Nordavind's, fraud count in comparison to HellRaisers, but certainly is in terms of score.
Yeah, and Nordavind has just been dropping the ball at the wrong time, really. Again, losing a round like that, going up against pretty much Deagles and Glock, it's not something you can do if you want to get away with a victory here. RF finds at least one on the monster aggression from HellRaisers, so they do still maintain that man advantage. Now they need to be able to deal with it. Again, aggressive move coming out. Finds Oscar. This is there to return, though. So they do know where both of the last remaining players are. Oh, HellRaisers so aggressive, but gets flashed by literally everyone. Down into a 2v2, a little bit of an unnecessary move, and oof, it's quick to swing onto Rubino.
Well, Tensky, time to step up for Nordavind into the 1v1 up against Issa. He's just looking for this fight as well. Issa just wants to take the fight, but not giving it to him. Tensky's just going to play passive, wait for the bomb. Committal to come through, and there's the tap. Issa not getting what he wants right now, so the grenade will go through, doesn't do any damage. Bomb finally planted. Now Issa, the time has passed so much that he still has to look towards heaven, goes for the spray, but can't quite control it as the AUG that wins out against the SG. So Tensky gets himself around for Nordavind.
Yeah, even picks up the AWP as well, and he's going to drop off to HellRaisers in the next round. So big swing, and again, yeah, you mentioned it, Tensky been the big player for Nordavind here so far. Steps up again in a crucial situation to win them a 1v2 clutch. Money on the side of HellRaisers are still good enough to get a buy-in. Oscar yet back on the AWP. Nordavind need to shore things up here. Going to be lacking utility. No head armor on HellRaisers again. So potential pistols could be scary, but you'd assume that HellRaisers will do just fine with AKs and Kriegs. Aggressive push in towards lower. Oh, going to be too late actually to spot the one HellRaisers player. It's going to be Lowell down in underpass. He manages to escape with his life.
Something I've liked from HellRaisers is just he's not scared to go aggressive. He's definitely shown that he can be very proactive with the AWP.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has a lot of confidence in his ability. I think it's just needing to learn how to use it more in a measured manner, right? Sometimes it might be too much of a good thing in that sense. Oh, loses out that duel, yep. It's not easy to take on Oscar in an AWP duel. It was very much trial by fire. He's just going to find Croman as well, and everything's working the way of HellRaisers right now. 3 opening frags. I mean, all they have to deal with is an M4 and an MP9. Hara is going to see if he finds anything at all. Quickly punished by Issa. And Rubino, well, HellRaisers haven't gotten even close to a bomb site, but they've somehow found 4 players already.
Yeah, I think that just shows the sort of proactiveness not really working for Nordavind in this one.
Yeah.
And Rubino's just had a very quiet game and just decides to shift walk to his death.
Well, that puts HellRaisers onto map and match point. It is the best of 1 to start us off here in the group stages. And it is kind of playing out as expected. We said that as solid of a first half Nordavind might have had. It does often swing heavily in the favorite team's favor once we change sides. And HellRaisers is just seemingly needing to warm up a little bit before they got going.
Yeah, this was never going to be an easy one for Nordavind, though. You know, you're playing against HellRaisers on literally one of the best maps. So.
Yeah, the best map that they have, maybe together with Inferno. I mean, considering how they played at Pro League, I'd probably go as far to say as Overpass is their best map. So I guess if you're Nordavind, you might look back at it thinking, well, we probably should have thought this through in the veto. Yeah. Other places you could have gone with it to not end up on HellRaisers' strongest suit.
Although, to be fair to them, they have shown a little bit of hope on it.
They've shown some life, absolutely, but they've also made some very
questionable decisions.
Exactly, right? And that's going to cost them so much more when they're going up against a better team, simply because HellRaisers are not going to allow you to, lose the full ecos and still win a match, right?
Yeah.
You need to be a special kind of team to be able to do that. Nordavind not quite there yet. So even numbers so far at the very least, and they have done tag damage onto Oscar. Right now, though, it's very reliant on Croman finding something here on the entrance to B from HellRaisers. That smoke is going to deny him any chance of that initially, at least.
Just waiting for someone just to sort of walk into his crosshair, but unfortunately no one coming his way. And HellRaisers just using their utility to safely get that bomb on towards the site. Quite aggressive though, they want to go for the take the fight. Tensky just running over the top, the MP9 coming in for 1, but Nuka stays alive. Kill comes in through the smoke from Rubino, and it's into the man advantage for Nordavind. Perhaps they're not done just yet.
That's a bad smoke though.
It definitely is. Massive gap to play where the Angel just goes and takes the fight. He will take away HellRaisers, and the stick is coming through, spraying away. Angel going for it, and this might just be it. It's all onto Croman. No kit alive. It's got to be another 10-second defuse. He's sticking it this time, and they start to spam away. Deagle coming through, and it's Angel in the end who secures 16 id for HellRaisers.
A bit of a desperate attempt at the very end there, and it was looking pretty promising. The nade combination with Tensky pushing aggressively, you thought that they might have had a shot at that, but yeah, shoddy utility usage towards the end of it. Again, just I guess what you would have expected from a team like Nordavind at this stage. Messy, and when you make those kind of, I guess, looks like a big mistake, and it is a very easy mistake to make, but that's going to punish you so much more heavily versus the team like HellRaisers.
And I think when you play against some of these better teams, you realize what works against the weaker teams will definitely not work against some of these bigger teams. So you're going to have to try and like hone your skills a little bit on certain maps. And I think definitely a different map would have been preferable for them.
Yeah, again, very confused as to how we ended up on Overpass. HellRaisers probably thinking, you know, they're pretty happy about that. They get away with or get the best of one out of the way early on, so they don't have to worry about that anymore. They don't have to go like the same slog as they did in the first Invitational for Cologne. So, yeah, no, they should feel pretty happy about how things panned out. Now they can actually play Overpass. They don't have to like hide the fact that they're really good at it.
Yeah, which means they might do better in this one as well. They could be, or realistically, be a team that can make that IEM Chicago spot. But join us after the break because we've got Force taking on Wendigo.